Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Jimmy Friday, and I'm here with some weekly encouragement for you. This week's topic is called Strongholds, and it's inspired off 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. Let me go to the scripture. The weapons we fight with are not weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. You know, a stronghold can be anything that has a constant grip on you. The things that you find yourself falling weak to, no matter how hard you try or how long of a streak you've been on, somehow you find yourself back at square one. Those are the type of strongholds we're dealing with. You know, the weapons we are needing are spiritual. You know, from within, you know, that divine power. Physical strength is okay. You know, it's good to train physically because it'll help strengthen the mind to prepare you for a more spiritual battle, because you will need your body and mind as well, you know, to continue to fight. You know, you have to learn how powerful you are. You have to learn what the Creator has called you to do. Let me take you to a verse over here in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6 and 7. I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you. For God did not give you a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, of love, and self-discipline. So that's something that we'll have to activate so that we can continue battling. We have to become more mentally conscious. We have to stay mentally conscious and aware of our weaknesses and our boundaries, so that way we're not setting ourselves up for failure. You don't want to put yourself in harm's way. You want to always stay consciously alert. You know, and so let me go to another scripture in Matthew 12, verse 29. How can anyone enter a strong person's house and carry off their possessions unless they first tie up the strong person? Then they can rob them of whatever's in their house. So your weaknesses represent the intruder that enters the house, which is your body. You know, you're the strong individual. First it has to tie you up hand and foot, and then it can leave with your possessions. So what do you possess? Your possessions are joy, your peace, your love, your confidence, you know, your hope. You know, those are the things that we allow strongholds to rob us of, because after we've fallen weak to whatever stronghold we deal with, it leaves us drained. It leaves us feeling sad or depressed. It mentally wears on us. You know, those are the things I'm talking about that you possess. Little material stuff. We came in the world with nothing, and we can leave with nothing. The only thing we'll ever leave with is what we have on the inside, which is our joy, our peace, our happiness, love, and hope. You know, these things happen to us, you know, when we have our guard down, you know, from mental stress or fatigue. So you have to stay alert. You know, if you've broken bad habits or you're trying to break them, you'll have to find something to replace them, or they'll return stronger than before. You know, find another hobby that replaces your old hobbies. You know, you'll have to fill that empty space, you know, in time that you used to give to those things that had you once bound or still has you bound today. And so let me drop down to Matthew 12, verse 43 through 45. When an evil spirit comes out of a person, it goes throughout the world seeking rest and does not find it. Then it says, I will return to the house I left. When it arrives, it finds the house unoccupied, swept clean, and put in order. Then it goes and takes with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there. And the final conditions of that person is worse than the first. So like I said, your strongholds, your weaknesses represents that person, that evil spirit, and your house, that's you. So if you're not going to allow just anybody to come in your house and be rude and disrespectful to you and just do you however in your own home, so check yourself on that. So think about, what are you allowing to come in your house? We really need to activate our spiritual weapons, like prayer, fasting, get some counseling if that's what you choose to do, if that's what you need. Find you someone to keep you accountable. Change your thinking. You can't have positive thoughts and negative thoughts working at the same time. They cannot exist together. One has to take place and then the other. Proverbs 23:7 says, as a person thinks, so they become. So stay in the fight. Do whatever it takes to get your mental health stronger. Where the mind goes, the body follows. So that's all I have for this week topic, over strongholds. So let me go back to the scripture. Let me close with the scripture in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. So that'll wrap it up for this week. So remember to keep your weapons sharp. Just how a hunter or someone keeps their guns oiled and clean, so whenever it's time to shoot them, they shoot how they're supposed to shoot. So keep your spiritual weapons sharpened. Keep your mind focused and conscious. Stay alert of your boundaries, your weaknesses. So keep your head up. Remember, we learn from our past mistakes and we press on to the blessings in front of us, because life is a forward march. So let's go out there and continue to be 1% better every day. Whether that 1% could be just reading you a couple paragraphs in a book, or maybe a scripture, or writing a couple things, something to help you advance. Y'all be cool, keep your head up, and stay prayed up.